everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the University of Miami, and what we need to understand is that we have, just like the Dolphins, but I think for all of us Dolphins fans, we have a little bit of bright hope that we can kind of hang on to, and it's the University of Miami. Why I'm saying this is because I really have to talk about what is going on in the University of Miami right now, because it's something that has been different. Watching the University of Miami for as long as I have, I think I've been watching it for basically as long as I've been watching the Dolphins since I was a kid. I've never seen a team like this, and the reason I'm saying that is because of basically Cristobal. I mean, the guy has put together a culture that I'm starting to feel now. Of course, I understand everybody might have a comment to say that it's early, but here's the thing. We've never had a team like this. We have to understand we're going to face Virginia Tech. Of course, it's a very important game, but USF was not a slouch team. And why we beat them so effectively was because all facets of the Miami Hurricanes were working on 100%, all cylinders, and it has to do with the culture that's being brought up. Obviously we'll all talk about Cam Ward and, how great he is as a quarterback, and he is probably going to be a number one, if not number two overall pick in this coming draft, which, depending on what happens with the Miami Dolphins, maybe we can... I'm just saying. But we all talk about Cam Ward, but we're not understanding about the culture that has been brought, with Manny and the other coaches that have been. We have not had the same culture. We've always had a defense, and that was always our thing. We had the turnover chain. We had all of that. But the collective unit working together, the way that it is now, and the amount of freshmen that we have that have superior talent on this team. Before we were like wide receiver U. We would pump out really speedy receivers, and every once in a while we would have a safety or a linebacker. But this year, the amount of talent that we had, of course, we have gotten Cam Ward. But the thing is that we have like 4 wide receivers. If you watch the last game, Isaiah Horton is a sophomore, so he's going to come back and be the number one next year. We have Jacoby George that has been balling. Basically, it's like Jacoby George, and then obviously Xavier Restrepo has been on there for a significant period of time. But we're just breeding. The thing is we are taking what we do good, obviously the wide receivers and all that, but we're building a culture. For the longest time, I think a lot of people just didn't want to go to the University of Miami because Alabama and, Clemson and basically those top tier schools, a lot of the talent that we used to get back in the 90s, we didn't get anymore because of the whole situation that happened back then. But now, with the transfer portal, which I think has really made college football, people may disagree with me, but I think it's made college football incredible again, because now you have teams that it's not always going to be Alabama or Clemson or whoever just happens to get the top talent. Back in the day, it was like whoever was the top school got all the top talent and they just continued winning. And now it doesn't matter anymore. You're going to have these players transfer, and now it's all about the culture that you build. The thing is now is the U has become back into relevance because of Cristobal and the culture that he set up. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I have definitely said that I didn't believe in Cristobal before, but at this point in time, the way that we are calling plays, the way that we do not commit penalties, this is a culture that you can see only from top teams. You'll see it in inexperienced teams. They'll have a bunch of penalties. People won't know what they're doing, a bunch of turnovers. And we've had that. The thing is throughout the years, we've consistently been where we beat these crappy teams and then we play like Florida State or something like that, or USF, and we'll lose to them. And it's because the culture that we had before, and this is why we've gotten Cam Ward, is because we have a winning culture. It's not about a turnover chain anymore. It's about actually going towards the college championship. And I'm going to spit out some of the stats for you right now, because this is why I feel it's different. Obviously Cam Ward is 89 of 123, and he's got 14 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. One of them was a BS interception that I think it flew off the guy's hand. But the guy behind him, Emory Williams, he's a freshman or a sophomore, I think. Yeah, he's a sophomore, or no, he's a junior, and he's 11 of 12 for 161 yards and a touchdown. So next year we already have a quarterback that's learning from Cam Ward that is going to step into the shoes next year. You again, the running backs, we've always had great running backs, but this time, right now we have Jordan Lyle and Damian Martinez, but Jordan Lyle's a freshman. Chris Johnson, the speedster, is a freshman. AJ Allen is a sophomore. Like, these guys, we're going to have like 3 or 4 running backs next year that are going to be studs. So even if Amory Williams isn't 100% like Cam Ward, you have the running back committee that is just going to carry this offense. The offensive line is so much better. And then we'll even get to the receivers, Isaiah Horton, and we have like 4 different freshman receivers that will come in next year and start contributing. We always have receivers. The tight ends, now we're starting to focus on much more bodying, not like speedster tight ends like Will Mallory last year, but actual tight ends. They were always good at producing offensive talent, but never good at putting it all together. But this is the significance of a quarterback. This is why the U is back, because Cam Ward, they're now focusing on getting that right quarterback, influencing the quarterback and showing him. The thing is you have to consider, this is where the culture comes in, is that I believe at Washington State, Cam Ward was not considered like the number 1 or the number 2 overall pick. He only was like that when he came to Miami because Cristobal is forming him into using his strengths. The quarterback Cam Ward at Washington State always had a lot of penalties for like delay of games or like fumbling the ball because he's consistently looking out at the defense. And a lot of people wanted to write him off, but the way that Cristobal looked at him, he was noticing that the quarterback, instead of trying to make plays everywhere like we had with Jacoby Harris or something like that, it was an actual quarterback that was trying to figure out the defense every single play. And this is going to be put on to so many new quarterbacks that come into this system, is they're going to teach them how to be a quarterback. Cristobal, with his playing experience before, is teaching guys how to play football. With Manny Diaz and all the other ones, they were coaches. But I think the relevance of playing football and understanding what you're looking for is the biggest difference, because we would always see, kind of similarly to the Dolphins, is that the University of Miami, whenever they played good teams, not only did they lose, but they got blown out. They weren't ever close. And it would be like, obviously, I forgot the quarterback last year that was supposed to be the prodigy. He would throw like 3 or 4 interceptions because they were so used to making all these different crazy plays and not actually playing football. I think the University of Miami is very much so related to the Dolphins, where we never actually played football. It was all these gadget things and this and that. But now what is actually happening is this team is playing football as a cohesive unit where the defense is stacked and the offense is also stacked, and they're playing uniformly, which is so different than what we've ever seen. And it's so refreshing to look at this Miami Hurricanes team and just see that, we're not just pumping out receivers anymore, or, just pumping out one extra running back, because we would always have stars. Like, the University of Miami is always going to have stars, but actually put a team together where we can compete for championships. And this is what everyone looks for. You look for the Nick Sabans, you look for all these coaches. We found that in Cristobal. It took him years. Obviously, I think a lot of us wrote him off in the beginning because we want things to change so quickly, but Cristobal has continually conformed this team into becoming a culture now, where it's the University of Miami Hurricanes culture. I think there was actually a quote, or not a quote, somebody said this before, where they weren't used to not talking back to the coaches or just, basically acting up in practice, and I think the way that Cristobal is making this go, it's much more so like a Bill Belichick. Like, you're here to get to the NFL. You're here to optimize your talent and make it into professional football. And if you want to do that, well, you come here. That's what all the top teams do. And that's what the Hurricanes are doing right now. And you can see it now. Big game, Virginia Tech. Obviously we are supposed to win this game, but I can tell you what, this is going to be the telltale sign of where we're at. We beat Florida, and Florida looks not great this year. And most of our ACC doesn't look that great. But Virginia Tech always puts up a fight. So this is going to be the telltale sign. I think right now USF was such a huge win. And the way that we won that was such a huge win because they are a good football team. They gave Alabama a run for their money, so to blow them out shows the type of talent that we have on this team. But Virginia Tech is that conference enemy, and they've always put up fights. Them and Georgia Tech always, I basically almost ate the microphone. They always put up a fight. This is going to be the telltale sign, and I'm going to talk to you guys about this after, we win this game. But this is a different University of Miami's team and staff and everything. They're starting to form a culture that, to be honest, the Dolphins should start to look for, because they're forming something that I think is going to be for a very significant amount of time. We might have something that is similar to the Alabama, the Clemsons, the Floridas, all of those for the next decade with this culture that Cristobal is bringing. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe, guys. All about the U. This is going to be, again, like I said, channel for all Miami sports. Thank you all for watching. Love you all. Fins up. Go U. It's all about the Heat. Peace.